everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about 7 common road test mistakes to avoid at all costs. If you are going for your road test, it is highly advised that you avoid these mistakes at all costs. They are horrible mistakes, they are common mistakes, meaning they are made very frequently, and with that being said, you should avoid them. Let's get right to it. The first one is a rolling stop. Now, when you approach a stop sign or a red light and you're waiting to turn or go straight, if it's a stop sign, you need to come to a complete stop. It is a bad habit that the majority of drivers acquire to roll through a stop sign or roll through a red light if they're making a right on a red light. And with that being said, if you do a rolling stop, that's a horrible mistake on a road test, on a driving test, simply because you are blatantly disobeying the road rules. You are blatantly disobeying the laws of the road. And with that being said, if you approach a stop sign or if you approach a red light and you're waiting to make a right on a red light, come to a complete stop. It's literally the best thing that you can do. Mistake number 2. Lack of steering control. When you hold your steering wheel, you should be comfortable holding your steering wheel. When you've turned the car or redirect the car, you should be comfortable doing that. So with that being said, the best way to improve your steering control is to practice. So prior to going for your road test, practice driving. Go around a wide variety of turns that are some that are sharp, some that are not as sharp, and so forth. Practice controlling your steering wheel as you are making turns at slow speeds and fast speeds and doing 3-point turns, parallel parking, and so forth. Practice your steering control, because that is the best thing that you can do to avoid this mistake. Mistake number 3, confusion at a 4-way stop. There are certain rules, okay, and rights of way that happen when you approach a 4-way stop and you're not the only car there. So with that being said, you should know those rules and you should know who has the right of way. Immediately, as soon as you have come to a complete stop at a 4-way stop sign and there's another car, at least one other vehicle there with you, you should know who has the right of way immediately once you have stopped, okay? And hopefully the other people obey the rights of way as well, but you have to use your precaution. If you have the right of way and you start going, right, but another car starts going, you can't just assume that they're gonna stop. You have to figure it out before you proceed through the intersection, through the 4-way stop intersection. So that is the third most common mistake. Sorry, I should say the third common mistake. It's not necessarily the third most common, but it's number 3 on this list of the common road test mistakes that I want you to avoid at all costs. Number 4, driving too slowly. Many people get nervous when they take the road test and they start driving really slowly because they don't want to speed, because they think it's better to drive too slowly than to drive too fast. Well, to a certain degree, yes, but they're both mistakes that you can make on a road test. So the best thing that you can do is drive as close to the speed limit as possible and maintain that speed, or as close to the recommended speed as possible, because that changes depending on the road conditions. So don't drive too slowly, because you become an obstruction on the road. You actually become a cause for an accident, for a potential accident if you drive too slowly. It's one of the worst things that you can do. Mistake number 5, driving too fast for road conditions. Now, driving too fast in general is horrible, but it's not a common mistake on the road test. Not many people drive too fast, but if it's raining or snowing, or if the roads are somewhat slippery and you're driving too fast for those conditions, that's a common mistake that people make on a road test. Now, you don't really have to worry about this as much if you're driving in ideal driving conditions, if the sun is out and the roads are dry. But if you're driving in the rain or the snow, or the road is simply wet in a certain area, you need to adjust your speed to suit those road conditions. Slow down, okay? Slow down and use your judgment and your estimation to figure out what speed you need to maintain for that specific road condition. Mistake number 6, braking too hard, okay? Now, when you apply your brakes, it's all about using your judgment and estimation. You want to brake nice and smoothly, and you want to stop at a specific distance behind the car that is in front of you. So with that being said, one of the worst things that you can do is mash your brakes. And in order to avoid mashing your brakes or hammering your brakes, you need to plan in advance. Don't just look at the car in front of you. Look a few cars ahead. You will see the brake lights of the car that is, let's say, 3 cars in front of you prior to seeing the brake lights of the car that is right in front of you. So look ahead for brake lights. Don't just look at the car in front of you. Look further ahead. This way you have warning. If you see the brake lights of the car that is 3 cars in front of you, you can press your brakes a little bit earlier than if you saw the brake lights of the car that's just in front of you. You won't have to press them as hard. You won't have to brake too hard. Therefore, you can avoid this common road test mistake. And last but not least, on this list of common road test mistakes, following too closely, okay? When you are following a car, I cannot emphasize this enough, you need to leave a good amount of space between your car and the car in front of you. Now, the faster that you're going, the more space that you need to leave. Also, the worse that the road conditions are, the more space that you need to leave. If you're driving at 40 kilometers an hour in dry road conditions, you're going to only have to leave a decent amount of space. But if you're driving at 80 kilometers an hour in wet road conditions, you're going to have to leave significantly more space, okay? So with that being said, it's not only about following too closely as in keeping that standard distance between you and the car in front of you. It all depends on your speed. It all depends on the road conditions, okay? And it all depends on the car in front of you. If you see the car in front of you has been driving erratically and mashing their brakes, then maybe you want to leave some extra space. So it's just in general, when you're taking your road test, you don't want to follow too closely, because that will make the person that is testing you feel almost endangered or worried, and that's not a good feeling for the person that's testing you if you want to pass your road test. And that's basically it. In this video, I have gone over 7 common road test mistakes to avoid at all costs. These are very common mistakes, and I would recommend avoiding them as much as possible at all costs, because they will really decrease your chances of passing if you commit one or more of these mistakes. And that's it. I really hope that you have enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more car videos like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.